So welcome one and all to this week's edition of the Chroma Team Roundtable. I'm joined by a healthy team of panelists consisting of one other. For the moment, it's Osbrah, but I think Victor and Jedi are experiencing technical difficulties. Maybe I think they're trying to get in. So we have Jedi on the line now. I think. Hello, Jedi. Welcome.
Yeah, for some reason, my face is too ugly for the camera, so it doesn't want to actually work.
The technology is protecting us from that side by disabling it. So no worries there. No worries there. But yeah,
AI feature.
Yeah, exactly. It's a feature, not a bug. So yeah, welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Chroma Team Roundtable. We are going to be talking through a few topics today, including but not limited to the current state of the market. Now, just literally in the last hour, we've had a pretty big market pump. BTC and ETH are moving. ETH in particular, there's lots of spot buying happening. Alts are looking pretty decent across the board, with few exceptions, of course. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot to talk about from that point of view. But we're also going to talk about, the big issues of the week. FOMC is obviously tomorrow. That is something that everyone should have on their calendar because it has huge ramifications for the price action we are likely to see over the coming weeks and indeed months. It is the last FOMC data release of the year, which is important as we enter 2026. So we're going to be talking about that. It is also the first FOMC data release we're going to have post QT. So QT technically kicked in on December 1st. So we're going to have our first data release of the post QT environment. QT ended, I should say. So
ended.
The post QT environment. So we're also going to be talking about that. Some other topics as well. We have upcoming airdrops, Lighter, I believe, Aster, even Paradex, but Lighter in particular is going to have our attention today. BlackRock announced that they are going to be launching a staked Ethereum ETF. Tom Lee, I believe, is also buying Ethereum, which is one of the reasons that ETH BTC looks so good at the moment. It has looked pretty good for the last few days, showing comparative strength against BTC. We also have other topics like the Bank of Japan statement on the carry trade. I'll let Osbrah talk about that because that's not I wouldn't say that's in my wheelhouse necessarily. And then just talking about the Santa rally, because a lot of questions in the server about that the last few days. Are we going to get a Santa rally? Is a Santa rally guaranteed? And just a note on, or a word on kind of seasonality and how that plays into, this late stage in the cycle. So with that in mind, we're just going to look at the market, and I'm going to go straight to Osbrah. Osbrah, what are you looking at in the market today? What has your attention, and what are your thoughts?
I'm going to share my screen, but we're having crazy pump right now. I just noticed that BTC went above 93K. Let me just share the screen. Here we go. Should be working now. So it's approaching the main resistance level, preventing the price from potentially going straight to 100K, which is the yearly open. That level we had a hard time with a couple of days ago, right? Here you see we spent a lot of time there, and then we ended up projecting. So far, so good. The structure has been holding. So I was looking at this level, to be honest, to go long. I've been pretty vocal about it in the crypto chat, in my corner, on Twitter, on the Twitch streams, like everywhere was spamming 87, 87, 87. Literally going into a propaganda about that level. Front run, obviously. The main thing I was looking at for me is if we're able to hold the structure, if we had it. Well, we didn't have it, but we're still holding the structure, however. So if we can manage to flip the yearly open, then it will just confirm that we probably ended the downtrend. We probably shifted to an uptrend, at least on LTF, and then we will see how we deal with a 97 with 100K. Even though we're having a nice pump right now and things seem bullish to be bullish at the moment, I still want to add some nuance and say, I remember what we said 2 weeks ago during the roundtable. As long as we stay below 100K, we're not out of the woods. That's a strong psychological level. Also on HTF, that was a very important level to hold. I just want to go there to show what I'm talking about. So obviously talking about the level here. So that was a very important level, both psychologically and technically. People want a BTC above 100K for a lot of reasons, obviously for the portfolio, PNL and stuff, but also for the headlines. Like it's always better to say BTC is above 100K, especially if you want to attract retail. And we all know that for a proper bull run, rally, alt season, etc., it's much better to have headlines that manage to attract retail. So
Although I
let's
will
see how
say
we
that, I
deal.
mean, the first time we went to 100K, the reaction was pretty muted from retail. And I think that was something that caught a lot of people by surprise. I know I had that level in my head for a long time. Like, oh yeah, once BTC gets above 100K, retail is going to flood in. We're going to get a 2021 type rally. That didn't really happen this cycle, did it?
It didn't really happen, but also remember it happened at a weird time. Like it was between the Trump rally that started at around 65K or something, 65, 70K, and then the pump continued towards the tariff stuff that Trump announced, and that led the market to just literally nuking afterwards. So it was in a weird state. Now I think things are starting to be a bit better. Well, we're still far away from 100K, right? 7K away. But I think things are starting to be better. You mentioned it, end of QT, end of quantitative tightening, potentially shifting to quantitative easing. We'll know more about it tomorrow. And also it's December. So we have seasonality suggests that December is always a good month. We also have the famous Santa rally, as famous as October, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Can I just cut you off
I
there?
just
Can you
want to
just
see.
explain
Sure.
in 30 seconds what is QT, what is QE for those in the audience who might not know what those terms mean?
Yeah, so I was about to draw stuff, but I will try to express myself with words just like a proper human being. Basically, QT is when the Federal Reserve is applies a restrictive monetary policy. So they have two tools. The major tools are the rates, the interest rates that the Federal Reserve impose to banks. So they increase rate to prevent the economy to be too strong, because when the economy is too strong, obviously it makes prices go to the upside. So it's inflation basically. And the other tool is the balance sheet of the Fed. So basically it's just the Fed buying or selling. So in the case of quantitative tightening, it's selling assets. So they just sell stocks, they just sell equities. So obviously it has a negative effect on the market. So the main purpose is to slow down the economy to fight inflation. That's the main goal. Like they don't do quantitative tightening just because they're bad guys. Quantitative easing is the opposite. It's an accommodative monetary policy. So basically it's when economy is in troubles, when it's too slow, or when the labor market is facing some turmoil, like it is the case right now, especially with uncertainties like AI. We don't know how it's going to be in the next 2-3 years with jobs replacement. So basically, the Fed want to support the labor market and want to support the economy by reducing the rates, allowing people to have loans, to invest, etc. And also they increase the balance sheet. So it means they just support the financial markets by buying assets. So basically, when they get some liquidity from the banks, etc., they use that liquidity to buy on the market. So that's a virtuous circle for the financial markets, because basically there is an excess of liquidity. That liquidity goes to the Fed account, and the Fed use that liquidity to inject more liquidity into the market, right? So that's the difference between QT and QE, and how the Fed put us into one or the other. Clear?
That's perfect. Yeah, that's very clear. Sorry, yeah, and I know I cut you off there, so please continue.
No problem. Basically, I was just going to say, to end the TA about BTC, because don't want to spend too much time on it. We have a few topics to cover. I want to see on the daily how we're going to deal with this level. You see bearish on the block, but also yearly open, of course. If we can manage to flip, we're good to go. Also, it would print a break of structure right here, like something like this, right? With a higher high. This is the current high. This is the yearly open rejection that we had. So if we can manage to close above, we would confirm a higher high and potentially a continuation towards 100K. If we reject once again, then it's not the end of the world, but I will be looking at the level I've been mentioning just before. So 80, 87 to potentially position myself and ride the center rally, hopefully.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks for that, Osbrah. I want to go now to Victor, and then we can kind of move on. But I want to get your thoughts on the market, Victor. What are you looking at? How are you positioned if you're in any positions in advance of FOMC tomorrow?
Yeah, so very good timing. You passed me the mic just as BTC has swept the very important level of the yearly open. It happened literally 2 minutes ago. And because we've been in a choppy environment for 3 weeks now, I was looking at this big level of resistance as kind of range highs. It's also the value area high of this choppy period. So normally I would be more inclined to take shorts here simply because it is such an important level that has acted as a resistance before. Depending on the reaction that we get right now, I might take a short or I will wait for price to sweep the previous week high. The only problem with that is, like you already mentioned, we have FOMC tomorrow. And before it was when the Fed Watch was offering like 50-50 chances for rate cuts or no rate cuts, the question was, okay, will we get rate cuts? If we do, then we're going to rally. If we don't, then we're going to dump. But now Fed Watch has, I think, 90% certainty that we're going to get rate cuts tomorrow. So they are almost a certainty. So now the question is, how will the market react to those rate cuts? And honestly, I have no idea if they are priced in or not, because if they are priced in, that leads to a dump. So because of that, I am not 100% certain that I will take a short. However, this is a level that is shortable, let's say. Why? Because like Osbrah mentioned, if we manage to push past this resistance back above the yearly open, then this could potentially be the bottom. Just like him, I'm still looking at that 100K level to be totally reclaimed before I flip bullish. I'm still bearish high time frame. But I just want to emphasize for the 10th time how important this yearly open level is. If we reject from it again, I honestly think that we can go for the monthly low or the previous month low. If we are able to close above it and then stabilize above it, then we can have that Santa rally that everyone wants. But also, yeah, the reaction tomorrow from the FOMC will be important. And I think it's going to be more important how the press conference goes and what kind of, I want to say vibe, but that's kind of Gen Z. Yeah, what kind of vibe Powell gives in respect to the markets. So kind of bearish, but flat right now.
Yeah, I think all eyes on Powell tomorrow. It's particularly relevant, as I said, because of kind of timing and where it comes in the year and in the cycle. And we can touch on that in a moment. I want to go to Jedi now. Jedi, I know that I want to talk to you later on in the conversation about airdrops, particularly about the lighter airdrop. But for initially, I would just like to get your thoughts on the market. I know we spoke on stream yesterday about ETH BTC's strength. There's a few fundamental catalysts in the water for Ethereum at the moment. Tom Lee is obviously buying. He bought I don't know how many hundreds of millions of Ethereum over the last week. We have the BlackRock announcement about the staked Ethereum ETF. Lots of bullishness, and ETH BTC showing a little bit of strength, right? ETH showing some comparative strength against BTC, and now with this market-wide bounce, things don't look too bad for ETH. I'm wondering, do you have any thoughts on Ethereum, or is it something you're paying attention to at the moment?
Yeah, so I am long ETH at the moment. I'm long ETH, BTC, and Sol. I managed to get some good entries, and my better judgment says that I should have closed them, but clearly after today's pump, I'm looking like a bit of a genius. But I think just to answer your question, Lee owns $12.1 billion worth of Ethereum. He's accumulated it in an insane amount of time. I mean, he's done it in a record time. I personally think the guy is crazy. But at the same time, I'm seeing a huge disparity between, or an incongruence between the way that the general retail crypto Twitter opinion is versus what the institutionals are doing. You touched on it already. There's a lot of bullish institutional news that is coming through. And I think that's the reason why there is a little bit of confusion, even amongst us as kind of like market commentators. I mean, Vic with fundamentals, like, kind of like almost, I mean, I wouldn't say flip-flopping, but almost like uncertain, like what the fuck is actually going on here? Like one day we're seeing like tremendous amounts of bearishness, like price action is absolute garbage. I mean, you guys were even talking in our Chroma chat where you were saying like, what the fuck is this price action? And then 20 minutes later, 2 hours later, shit's going bananas, and it's like, what the hell is actually going on in this market? So I think what's going on right now, and it obviously comes with a surgeon's general warning, is that I actually think that this whole idea of cycles is slowly starting to actually get thrown out the window. I mean, it almost feels like it is, because are we going to get a Santa rally? No one actually knows. And then what happens after that if we do? And then what happens if we don't? Do we get a rally in January, or do we go to Goblin Town for the next 2 years? I don't think we do. I think there's way too much institutional momentum at the moment. And I think there is a case for Ethereum being kind of like off the back of Bitcoin had its run, and now Ethereum needs to have its run as well. I think it's a possibility. Am I betting big on it? No, I'm actually shit scared to bet big on something at the moment. I'm kind of like, I've been bitten way too many times over the last 6 months, and my PTSD levels, and I think pretty much everyone here's PTSD levels are at an all-time high. I mean, you expressed your complete disregard for wanting to get involved in the market, and I think the intelligent ones amongst us aren't getting involved. I think the guys who do see the edge are involved, and then the fools, the rest of us, are trying our best. But I mean, I've had probably the worst 6 months in crypto than I've probably had in my entire freaking career of the last 8-9 years. So anyways, I mean, this isn't about the psychology of things at the moment. I mean, that's for another discussion. But I think there is a case to be made for Ethereum making a run. And it would be a beautiful thing. I think we deserve something like this. Even if most people are going to be sidelined, at least it will offer opportunity on alts.
Yeah, I think so. And the funny thing about alts is that, and we were talking about this over the weekend, a lot of alts actually didn't look that bad. Like they were showing a decent amount of resilience against BTC, against the wider market, over like let's say like the last week or two. In certain sectors, I suppose, not every altcoin. We've had a ton of them that are just down only, and a lot of bullish catalysts that have been floundering and failing to do much in terms of price appreciation. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point for alts. I mean, I think I'm very similar to you, Jedi. I just it's once bitten, twice shy, or in this case, like 20 times bitten, twice shy, because like altcoins have just this entire cycle, they have regularly disappointed in terms of the returns or their price appreciation, or just even basic stuff. Like I think a pretty big watershed moment for me was when CZ announced that he was buying Aster. Like this is like his second alt bag ever. The main character of crypto Twitter, or one of the main characters of crypto Twitter, and the mind behind the biggest exchange in crypto, says that he's investing in an altcoin, and it did a pump and dump. It pumped 40%, and then it went back down below the level where he announced it. And I think that was pretty indicative to me of kind of the state of the altcoin market when it comes to capital allocation and liquidity. And I think it told me a lot about maybe not not being so quick to believe that price appreciation is given even in the most bullish of circumstances, or what looks like a bullish circumstance on paper. So yeah, I'm gonna. Sorry, go on.
We've got probably the single most impressive and relevant protocol to ever have been created in this space, and that is in Hyperliquid. and yet Hyperliquid has struggled to maintain anything near its highs. I mean, it's down 50% from its highs. These guys continue to buy, but somehow there's still endless sell pressure into this whole thing. These guys are printing millions every day, yet there's no narrative to support up only. Like, if that isn't up only, then what the fuck is going to be up only? That's the question, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It has been a cycle defined by playing protectively with your capital and really only allocating when it makes abundant sense to do so. I think in previous cycles that has not been the case. It's almost been the opposite. The real risk has been not being exposed enough when the market moves. This cycle it has been slightly different. It really has been about being a sniper and taking only the shots that count rather than just spraying bullets and hoping a few of them lands. But I'll come back to that in a second. I just want to go to Rouge. I know Rouge is on the call. Rouge, I want to get your thoughts on the market in general. How are you viewing things? I know you're predominantly or exclusively a BTC trader. How are you viewing this Bitcoin price action? What are your thoughts on the Bitcoin market?
At the moment, it's from my. I'm going to share my screen. Market is sort of ranging since about 2 weeks now. We're trading in between yearly open then 85, let's say. It's kind of the decision point here because we are clearly at a place where the structure and the overall high time frame structure looks like it's shifting. We have higher lows stacking up. We have market pushing dildos several times. No, once a week for several weeks now, even though we have been retraced every time. Still, buyers seem to have infinite money to throw at Bitcoin at the moment. So at some point, I personally think they will eventually flip yearly open. Once, like I said, I was really leaning bearish these last weeks. But now, seeing that we've put in since we put the high here, I'm more neutral. I am more neutral because of several factors. The first one being that it's the first time of the year of 2025 that we had two almost back-to-back double distribution setups to the downside, not playing out directly. So this is something that to me is very surprising because market used to heavily punish dildos going up on the very next day. That's the whole point of double distribution in the TPO theory. But twice in 2025, we didn't rotate like nicely on the second day. We waited, signaling to me that maybe something is shifting. And Victor said it. I think Osbrah said it. Here, it's really like 94K yearly open. Above that, because now I'm neutral, above that, I think any retest from yearly open is a valid long until 98K. Above 98K, where I'm going to switch bullish. I'm really going to switch bull mode, and I do think it's only a matter of time if we reclaim 98 that we skyrocket to, well, these levels don't matter, but that we skyrocket above 100K. Because for me, the major resistance always has been yearly open. The major support has always been yearly open too, when we were trading above it. And once we lost it, you can clearly see it's struggling above this level. And yeah, I'm strictly focusing on Bitcoin, so I don't really know what the other cryptos are doing. But at the moment, we are in a trend shift period of time, in my opinion. We struggle to make lower lows at the moment. So you got to stick with the overall flow of the market if you do not want to get burned. And it's been incredibly hard to find relevant setups in this environment, especially on longs. And this, I don't know if you guys felt it personally, but I felt like longing has been increasingly harder. Yesterday, for example, for the New York session, we had a valid dip to an interesting point of interest, and price just dropped for the whole session. And this is something that has been happening over and over again. When was the last time? Yeah, here, for example, London, before the skyrocket, was full crab, pretty much stopping, like taking every week before finally going up. I have another example here as well. Really choppy before the takeoff. We used to have more impulses when we touched like very interesting buying levels. And now it seems that market always has somehow to chop before taking action. And this is really something here too, for example. You chop, stop everyone, then go. And I've been way more proactive, and I had way more success, like always, shorting this environment rather than longing it. Because usually when we drop these last days, the drops were violent. And when market is somewhat breathing and forming a bottom, you always have chop before the direction is taken. So that's currently my view. I can give a quick update on the order flow today. You can see the whole build-up has been completely rinsed on inverse, mostly shorts getting squeezed. Heavy spot participation today, but now it's starting to decrease a lot. I suppose people are taking profits. We're still pumping. There's a big buying wall. A big take profit wall sitting at 94,000 that might provide something. But again, today is a trending day. 1, 2, 3 big batches of single prints, all from the same session. So again, it's the kind of day where price is irrational. And if you want to short, I highly suggest you don't, because from a pure statistical perspective, you won't get anything out of it today. You will the next day, but today you have very low chances of getting anything as for a short, because market is behaving in an irrational manner. Trending day, you can just, it's not a financial advice, but you can just throw in a random long on a pullback. When you look at M1, there's no pullback. There's absolutely no pullback at the moment. You can just, like, you see one red candle on M1, you throw a long and you can be rewarded, because this is the kind of day we had that led to ATH. And this is just the days where market is completely stupid, and you should not try to understand why the buyers behave like they do. Because shorts are throwing fuel, buyers are buying, so we can rocket to God knows where. Yeah, that's
I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's, when you say irrational, I think like technically we're at high time frame support here, and with FOMC tomorrow, I mean, we've seen this the last like 4 or 5 FOMCs where there's a rally into FOMC and then, you know, usually a dump afterwards. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what we're seeing now. Market participants speculating on, you know, bullish FOMC result potentially coming into a Christmas period.
I think they are pricing that decision in today, and they're going to dump it tomorrow. But what I meant by irrational is, on trending days, usually you have resistance not working. It doesn't matter if the level is a big resistance level. Usually, again, from my experience with this type of days, you should just like the resistances and the levels that you're looking at will not provide a very good reaction if you are trying to short. And this cost me a lot of money for me to understand.
Yeah, I think
So,
shorting here for me, and this is something I've said, it really does feel like shorting high time frame resistance, this kind of range low, channel low resistance. If you look at the high time frame going back basically a year, but you know, high time frame support might not mean a lot if if the bull market is over. But yeah, thanks for that, Rouge. I want to go to Victor now. Victor, I mean, just speaking about Santa rallies, you obviously said that
Yeah.
you had some data there, want to back it up, because this is
Yeah.
something that we talk about all the time. You know, the Santa rally price appreciation over the holiday period. But I have a feeling that you're going to present us with some data that will make us rethink that.
I mean, not necessarily rethink it, but well, of course, the first step is defining the Santa rally period. For me, I just put from the 1st of December until the Christmas day, so the 25th. And basically, I don't really see a reason to call it like a probable Santa rally. The average return during this period is plus 4.6%, so that's good. But if you look at the individual year, starting with 2019, ranging and ultimately a drawdown. Then 2020, yes, it was let's say the most profitable such period of the year, but the context was that we had already started accelerating. 2021, the worst period because we were in a downtrend. Then 2022, nothing because we were at the bottom of the bear market. 2023, upwards because we already started accelerating. And then 2024, we had put in a all-time high, but ultimately it was just ranging PA. So for me, I don't really think that there is a thing like a Santa rally thing. It's mostly just the current context that determines the price action that we get in this period of the year. The two times that we saw acceleration before the month of December has been bullish. When we saw bearish price action before, December has been bearish. When we saw consolidation, December continued to consolidate. So for me, just looking at these past years, there is no reason for me to say, oh yeah, we'll get a Santa rally this year, because the only two times that it has happened, price action was already accelerating to the upside, and that's not something that we got right now. Not saying that we won't get upside during this period, just that simply calling it a Santa rally because that's what historically price does. It's not, for me at least, is not a good argument for what's going to come next.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for that. Thank you for that dose of realization, Victor. You're always good for. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Just one last thing. December is also the least volatile month of the year, or maybe not the least volatile, but the month with the least volume of the year. So any move that happens right now will be easy for it to happen because the order books are thinner. So also keep that in mind.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for that, Victor. Appreciate that. So I want to move on now to let's speak more directly about FOMC, and I want to go to Osbrah on this one. Osbrah, obviously, you know, tomorrow's FOMC. It's the last one. It's the last data release of the year. Particularly important because it's the first FOMC after QT has ended as of December 1st. So there's an argument to be made that it's quite an important data release. Just looking at the FOMC countdown, so I had it open a second ago. Yeah, it's in a day. There's basically a 90% chance that we're going to get a 25 bips cut and something like a 10% chance that we get a no cut. So I mean, yeah, probably some there. I mean, there's a few different ways this can go. You know, I'm assuming that Trump appointee, I can't remember his name. You probably know it off the top of your head. Is probably going to. Yeah, exactly. Is going to go for a 50 bip rate cut once again, which again is kind of showing hands in advance of Powell stepping away next year. But I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on this? How should we be looking at this? How should we be viewing this data release, and how should we be positioned for it?
I think, as Rouge said, the market is currently trying to price the cut. It's definitely I think it's certain that we will get 25 basis points. The Fed will just continue to do what they started to do. So it means cutting rates to support the labor market, but while still being cautious. And as Vic said, the Powell speech, the press conference after the FOMC statement, is going to be the most important, simply because we had the QT ending in December 1, and that was announced by Powell beforehand. It was not a surprise, he announced it. So now what we want to hear about is about potential QE. I want to know what the Fed is going to do besides just cutting rates. Are they going to start to support the market? Are they going to use the whole arsenal to prevent the labor market to crash? Remember at the beginning of the stream, we talked about rate cuts, but also at the ability for the Fed to buy or sell securities. And we want to know about it. And I'm pretty sure anyway that one of the journalists will ask that question. Like, when is the Fed going to start to inject liquidity into the market? And anyway, if Powell isn't able to answer that question, or if he does some dancing around and saying, "Oh, we were gonna navigate cautiously with the data," blah blah blah, as he always does. Anyway, the next Fed chairman, so most likely Hassett, the current how do you say, like, economic counselor, or I don't know exactly the name, but whatever. He's already in the economy. He's already involved in the economy of the USA inside the Trump administration. That guy is going to cut rates instantly. When director of the National Economic Council. Thank you, man. He's going to cut rates from at least 50 basis points as soon as he takes the control over the Federal Reserve. Trump said today, earlier today, the next chairman has to cut rates instantly. And what a coincidence. 2 hours later, that guy, Kevin Hassett, said, if I would be chairman, I would cut rates instantly. So yeah, of course, he is probably going to be the next chairman, and he's also probably going to be following what Trump just said. So all eyes, ears, I would say, on Powell's speech. Pay a lot of attention. You want to see the dot plots. Are they gonna be changed? Is the Fed going to say, yeah, we're planning more rate cuts to be a bit more aggressive? Because there's still time between May, when the Powell mandate will be over, and that guy will start to follow Trump's mission. It's also interesting to see that you mentioned, and I know it's a topic that will just come after, but you mentioned Aster and CZ being open about his buying position, but we also had Buffett buying Google stocks like a month ago, and these guys buying after such a strong rally, at least on equities, mean everything but that the cycle is over, in my opinion. So I do believe that the Fed will just bring the, maybe we can say, bull market part 2 or season 2, whatever. But to have like the richest guy in the crypto industry and the richest guy in the traditional finance industry, both buying at what is supposed to be the top, doesn't make sense, in my opinion. So it doesn't make sense to say, oh, it's the end, everything will crash. Like, to have these two guys buying, like being bullish at the top, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, completely agree with that. I mean, it is for sure. It's something we should be watching, something we should be paying attention to, particularly in light of, and we're just discussing in the chat here, Powell finishing his term in office in May, and his successor being a Trump appointee. And again, I've been saying this for months now. I think there is a decent chance that we get some kind of from something like a dead cat bounce, a exit pump, or maybe even something more sustained than that, depending on how his successor behaves. But I think we might get that in the second half of next year, based on the fact that we know already that Trump wants to slash rates. He spoke about cutting rates by an unprecedented amount. Just a few months ago, he spoke about cutting rates by like 300 basis points, which would be 3x the next largest cut. And that 100 basis point cut happened when the economy was dying towards the start of COVID. This would come when the economy is arguably overheated. It's the opposite. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, I think this is something that everyone should be paying attention to, should have on their radar, because it could have some pretty huge implications for how risk assets are kind of are going to behave over the coming 12 to 18 months, particularly in a circumstance where, you know, Fed's the new Fed chair comes in. You're saying that it could be this guy Hassett. Is that what you're saying, Osbrah?
Yeah.
Interesting. So I mean, yeah. I mean, if this guy Kevin Hassett comes in and starts slashing rates because he wants to do what Trump wants him to do, then yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time for the altcoin market. But yeah, FOMC is in exactly 1 day. It is tomorrow, so 1 day and 2 hours. So we are 26 hours away. 26 hours 12 minutes from that data release. I want to move on now to we can come back to the Bank of Japan thing, Osbrah, but I want to move on to airdrops. And this is something that Jedi and I were speaking about before we came on the call. I know that you have your eye very closely on the upcoming lighter airdrop, Jedi. I'm also paying attention to the Paradex airdrop, the TG, which is going to be in January. I know a lot of people are talking about there is an Aster airdrop. Is it next week or at the end of this week? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, there are a few airdrops to be paying attention to over the coming months, particularly with reference to the kind of the perpdex space, the perpdex meta. What do you have your eyes on? Talk to us, Jedi.
So I think the most relevant one at the moment is definitely lighter. The OTC market around lighter is insane. I mean, if you farmed lighter 6 months ago, there's no ways you've got less than 150 points. I think you probably got around 150, 200 points at a bare minimum, and you can get $100 a point for that now. So, I mean, for goodness sakes, guys, if you had a delta neutral position with no fees, you'd be sitting with a 15, 20 grand bag. So I think that's probably the single most, I think, relevant one at the moment. There's a couple of others. I mean, I haven't participated in the others because it's just been a question of having the cash and going and playing. The only other one that I've been participating in is obviously lighter and then variational. Also perpdex. I think variational is going to be another one of those that's going to do super well. So if you go to my corner, I have posted a list of the ones that I've been kind of like paying attention to and just seeing what the guys are doing. There's Standex, there's Hibachi. Hibachi's been also quite popular, and then NATO as well. And then obviously Paradex. I think Paradex is also like one of those that's going to do super well, provided, you know, they do need a little bit of luck, because I think the DEX market is super competitive. But I've met the team, and they're serious operators. They're based in Singapore, and they're also ex-TradFi people. They've done the rounds. So yeah, I think that's a good bet. Follis, I think you're backing a good horse there, just based on my interaction with them. They're serious operators.
I met them as well. I went to their office in Singapore. Some really smart guys. But yeah, we're hopefully going to be partnering with them very, very soon, and we're going to be giving guys in the server bonuses when it comes to farming those points, which is going to be pretty huge because, as I said, their TGE is expected kind of like the end of January or the start of February. And yeah, that could be, as you said, man, you know, delta neutral strat, open some positions, get some open interest going on your account, and just get some points going. And there's going to be like a 20% or 30% bonus on that. Someone asking why you're not looking at extended. I actually just got DM'd by the extended team this morning. Who I've never even heard of them. Who are they?
I don't actually know about extended.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who they are, so I apologize for being ignorant around who they are, but I'll definitely check it out. I think what's interesting about this space is that you think you kind of got your finger on the pulse, and then someone asks you a question, why are you not looking at extended? So I don't, dude. I haven't seen them form a Revolut team. Wow, okay. Where are they? Are they on Arbitrum or are they cross-chain? What's the story there? What's the feedback around the platform itself? L2 or is it straight L1? What's the story? What did they say in the message, Follis? Now I'm starting to feel FOMO.
This is what I heard. So I've just realized the guy DMing me said,
Yes.
"Hey, the extended team wants to connect with you." Blah blah blah. Blah. They have, I said, "I've never heard of them." He said, "They're ex Revolt." I said, "I've never heard of Revolt." He said, "Damn, bro, it's an $80 billion US company." I'm now realizing he meant to say Revolut. So I was like, what the fuck is Revolt?
Yeah,
I've
Revolut.
never heard of fucking Revolt before. Okay, yeah. Extended. I guess it's Perpdex. Extended. Oh, yeah. Okay, I've seen this logo around. Extended. This is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
Hasn't been on my radar, to be perfectly honest.
No, it hasn't.
But there are so
Me either.
many of those, like Variation is another one, like Gravity or GRVT was another one. Like I had never heard of these perp dexes before, kind of like the last kind of few weeks or a few months, when everyone started talking about them because of the kind of the perp dex meta. You know, I think like people saw what happened with Aster and Avantis, and even with Apex. You know, and that's obviously coming on the back of Hyperliquid doing its thing last year and earlier this year, Lighter doing its thing, you know, basically this entire year. I think, yeah, people are people start paying attention. And my hope, and I've spoken about this before, my hope for this perp dex meta is that, you know, at the end of all this, when all the excitement has come and gone and all the tokens have been launched and all the points have been farmed, is that at the end we're left with like 3 or 4 great products that are like that fulfill the goal of this, which is like to create decentralized exchanges that are like great trading platforms. You know, like Hyperliquid. Like Hyperliquid had its airdrop, it had its fucking NFT thing. And at the end of it, did people abandon it? No, like I still know, like so many big fucking traders I know still trade on Hyperliquid, and that's the sign of a good platform, of a good product. And my hope is that, like at the end of this perp dex meta, at the end of this cycle, there will be like 3, 4, 5 perp dexes that are still running, that's still attracting a bunch of volume, and it's not just going to be this flash in the pan narrative where people get in, make their money, and then just fucking abandon it. You know, like we've seen so many times in crypto, and then they don't actually add any volume to these perp dexes going forward. So, you know, as I said, I think there are going to be like 3 or 4 winners in this space. I think Hyperliquid has already proven that it's, you know, the high watermark, the benchmark that other perp dexes need to aspire to. Lighter, I would say, is probably in second place, and then the next kind of 2 or 3 places are up for grabs. You know, which is why I'm looking at, you know, who's the bronze medalist here, or who's the third strongest candidate in this multi-horse race. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Jedi.
So I think what's really interesting about what you're saying is it's like, how do you distinguish yourself from the rest of the pack? I mean, I think the obvious ones are obviously like ease of use, obviously UI UX, but I think everyone's getting that right now. I don't join these dexes and think, wow, they did a really shit job on the UI UX side of things. So I think they all get that right. Then the second thing is there liquidity? Are my orders being filled? How much slippage am I experiencing? And is it like super fast? And I think that is probably the one thing that's gonna distinguish from the rest. I think if you get that right, then you're in a really, really good position. And then I think the third thing is, which people don't really talk about, is where does privacy come into this around me taking trades, and whether I'm going to be hunted by bigger players or smaller players ganging up on me, or whatever the case is. And I think there's a huge case for Paradex, because they're obviously looking to use dark pools, which essentially it masks what it is that you're doing on their server. So I think that is in my opinion, one of the big value propositions that Paradex, Silhouette as well. I mean, Silhouette is basically going to be using Hyperliquid's infrastructure, and they're going to have dark pools. So I think that's where we will see the guys winning the race, and then the rest will kind of like either fall by the wayside, scam their way, whatever the case might be. I mean, we've seen quite a few. I mean, Velo was a perps exchange that came on stream. I don't know if you guys remember that. Towards the kind of like the end of last cycle going into the bear market, and they rugged everybody, but they were a great DEX. They ticked all the boxes. They gave great incentives, but they rugged in the end. So I think we'll see that, and there'll be a couple of people being heartbroken. Who those people are at the moment, I don't know. Maybe they're all legit, but I think there will be 3 or 4 or maybe 5 that will remain.
There will be broken hearts. There always are at the end of these, because the thing is, if you start failing as a perp dex, then investors and the guys at the top are going to want to get their money out. And once that starts happening, the bank run is inevitable at that point. What are the dates on the lighter airdrop, Jedi? Do you know? Have they been released?
Polymarket has got an 87% chance it gets launched before the end of December 2025. So I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think they might wait until next year.
So do you mean 2026?
Early 2026, I think, January.
Sorry, yeah.
I think, yeah, but they 87% chance it happens by the end of this year. I wouldn't mind getting a Santa Claus check. It would be nice to get a stimmy in light of the last 6 months of pain and suffering that I've experienced. So, yeah.
Sorry, you're saying there's an 87% chance it happens before the end of this current month?
Correct.
But you believe that it's the 13% chance that it runs into next year?
Yes, and I've placed my bet on that happening.
I was going to say, if you believe that with conviction and there's a 13% chance, get some money on Polymarket. Victor, are you listening to this? Get that into the prediction channel. That's awesome, though. Appreciate that. And yeah, I'll have more information for you guys, hopefully, on the Paradex situation this week, I'm hoping. I mean, these things move so fucking slowly, even though everything's finalized. But yeah, I think there's going to be a point bonus for farming points on Paradex, and their TGE is probably the end of January, start of February. So I will keep you updated on that. The last topic I want to touch on, and this is one that Osbrah suggested on me, so I'm going to pass the microphone over to him to talk about the Bank of Japan statement on the carry trade. I know, and I'm happy to admit that I know nothing about this, so I'm just going to pass the mic over to Osbrah and let him enthrall us.
It's going to be a very quick one because I already wrote something about it on Monday. But basically, this morning, Ueda, so the Bank of Japan's governor, had a speech, and basically he was just saying, that sounds stupid to me, but that everything was fine, that the inflation was not an issue for the Japanese economy, that they were doing well. Well, we just had the worst GDP data of the year for Japan, but according to me, everything is just doing fine. So this is why I was quite surprised. So it just reassured the markets regarding the yen carry trade and wind. You can just also check the Japanese yen charts against euro against USD. It's nuking. As usual, every time the Bank of Japan says something, the yen nukes, but everything is fine. When I was talking with Japanese people, they said that was horrible for them. They can't even go on holidays anymore because when they just go in Europe or USA or Hawaii or whatever, it's just way too expensive. They can't even afford these things anymore. But well, according to the Bank of Japan, everything is fine. So at least for us, it just pushes away the carry trade and wind risk. So it adds a bit more to my bullish thesis. I mean that the cycle is not over, and if we can just remove that problem from our minds, then it's even better. So just a quick one about it. For now, guys, we are safe. No risk of carry trade and wind like it happened last year. So we're good to go. We good for a Santa rally.
The Santa rally, according to Victor, is going to happen. Go on, Jedi.
ETH BTC chart is something of dreams at the moment. Like, what the actual is going on?
We were talking about it yesterday. Yeah, ETH looks fucking fantastic. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna
ETH,
Wow.
it is just off the fucking
Okay.
charts at the moment.
look at
On the
this.
daily,
I'm just
okay.
posting it in the chart here. Like, I'm not a big fucking Tory trend lines trader, but that's so fucking clean. We got the breakout, we got the retest.
Clean. And the retest,
That's
and
really
then it's
clean.
fucking going now.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
clean. Fusaka update or what? Is it related to that update they pushed on ETH?
Yeah,
days
so
ago?
it's that. I think they
Yes.
posted about
Yes.
that a few days ago, but it's
Yeah.
also the
Fusaka update something.
yeah, exactly. I think it's also just like Tom Lee has not stopped buying Ethereum. Basically, like I see a fucking news headline every few days. There's Tom Lee, there's the Ethereum upgrade, there's MasterCard are now accepting
ETF.
Ethereum for crypto payments. We had BlackRock announcing the staked Ethereum ETF. It is still the biggest ecosystem.
Yep.
Sorry, I had this
Most
sentence.
TVL.
Yes,
The
it is still
most
the largest
TVL.
change for tokenized stocks. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be bullish on ETH here. It's also like it dumped a huge amount over the last like 2 months from the top to the bottom. I mean, it dumped nearly 50% in 3 months, which is kind of wild actually, especially after how strong it was in Q3. So I mean, yeah, some mean reversion kicking in here for sure, but probably a little bit too early to say that we're so back, but yeah, trading now it's just below 3.4k. That's not fucking bad at all. That's not bad at all. We're all
I
gonna turn
reckon
into
the
ETH
market's
maxing.
fucking with us. No, dude, the market's fucking with us. But tomorrow afternoon, it's gonna be fucking all over, and we're gonna be crying.
Yeah, these narratives last like about a fucking about half a day before everyone forgets and everyone's like, oh yeah, ETH. I've been bullish on ETH all along, and then
Yes.
we're gonna be crying. We're gonna be
I told you
crying next
guys.
week. We're gonna be crying next week as we watch ETH just tumble back below 3k. But no, I mean this looks good. I actually, it's funny. I'm gonna share, and this will be the last thing that we do, I think. Do I have it here? Yes, I do. So I'm going to share my chart. I just want to show you. Fuck. I just want to show you this ETH chart. I think I drew this back when ETH was trading at like high 3Ks or something. I said that this is something you see a lot after you get periods of consolidation, is you see, when price moves up and comes back down, that this will be the area, this will be the zone that it retests. And this ties into like, this is effectively what order blocks are. People always get mixed up with this. They say, oh yeah, order block, the last down candle before the up move, the broke no. Where is the consolidation that led to the expansion? Where were the orders accumulating before you got the explosive move? And if you look at this price leg, this is where it happened, right? We had accumulation between May and July that ultimately resulted in this, fucking 2x move, right? Now price is coming back. We're getting a pullback. And what does it do? It fucking taps here and bounces. I'm not surprised at all. And that is kind of this wider this wider demand zone here that is being mitigated at the moment. But yeah, this looks fucking great. And like we just said, ETH BTC, if I could find my chart, ETH BTC with one of the cleanest retests, with one of the cleanest trend line breakout retests you'll ever see. And I don't personally trade these, but that's too clean to ignore. But yeah, ETH BTC looking fantastic. And on that bombshell, guys, we're going to call it there because it is 5 past the hour. I want to say a big thank you to our handsome, intelligent panel of Chads. We have Jedi, Victor, Osbrah, and Rouge. Yeah, that's about it, boys. I hope you got something out of this hour-long conversation. We will be back next week for the next edition of the Chroma Team Roundtable. Until then, stay safe. We will talk to you in the chats. Have a nice day and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.